Guess did this line of filmmaker watches. There's an Almodovar watch, and there is a Robert Altman watch. And it says, on the hands, it says, time to reflect. So I thought that was a nice way to say, thank you for taking time to reflect on Robert Altman. Is it a gift or a kind of curse of his films that he deals with reality in such a precise, unique way?
Well, I would say that it's neither a blessing nor a curse. It's a distinctive way of making films that was so much a part of him that he really couldn't do it any other way. He had this feeling that reality is multi-layered and that it's not made up of a story, that it's made up of countless stories that are all going on at once, even in a room like this right now.
When was your first meeting with Bob and how you got into the Bob world?
One of his sons, he has, I don't know, many sons, maybe 5 or 6.
The ones he knows about.
Yeah. One of his sons was actually a projectionist at the lab that I use in LA, CFI. Unfortunately, he's no more. And his son always saw my footage, and he said to me one day, he said, "You should work with my dad."
Really? Exactly. Let's talk about Garrison Keillor a little bit and Bob on the set. If Bob is, let's say, metaphysically not working with the script as a director typically would, what was Garrison's response to that?
Well, I mean, no, look, there was a script and they're delivering lines. Now, if they improvise a line or if they get the essence of what it's about, he wasn't one to pick on. But I mean, look, Garrison wrote the text, the script,
right?
And then he's a participant in as an actor. So he really did relinquish to Bob what a director would do. That it was his vision of what the piece was. Yeah,
yeah. Well, it's an ironic thing, as you know very well, Ed. The screenwriter's relationship to a working set is a whole different conversation. But to have the screenwriter be the star and maybe not the director, what was your perspective on that?
Well, I don't think there was a real conflict there. I mean,
yeah.
It's true. Garrison controls that theater and that show with an iron fist and oversees everything about it. But
right.
He knew this was an area that he wasn't, versed in.
How did they discuss the film? How did they present the face of the film?
Clearly they felt, I think in their own minds, and rightly so, that they had their domains. Bob had done had directed the visuals of the film.
Yes.
And that incredible multi-layered sound that he uses so brilliantly. Garrison had written the script, had created the radio show, which the whole thing kind of centered on. So they each had their domains, and there was no real worry that one of them might come off as being, less important or anything like that.
Yeah.
And they really, I'm not sure how many times they had done that sort of thing before they came around to my stage, but they were really, they were pretty funny.
Were they?
I mean, I asked them a question I knew the answer to right near the beginning. How did you two end up getting together on this movie, And Bob started telling this little anecdote. He said, "Well, we have the same lawyer, and his name is blah, blah, blah." And he's going on. And Garrison said, "He's not my lawyer." And Bob just ignored him, just kept right on talking. And Garrison said, "I don't have a lawyer." And Bob just kept right on talking. And then Garrison said, "Innocent people don't need lawyers." And around this time, it got really funny. Bob had to smile a little bit.
What a unique environment. We have these iconoclastic actors, and many of whom who had never worked before together. I think Tommy Lee Jones said in both their long careers, Meryl Streep and he had never worked on a film together, which is kind of fun just to hear. What was that environment like, actor to actor? I'm sure the reverence, because actors love Bob, no?
Sure, because he's so, respectful, and he understands their world in a sense of, and he gives them the space to play with their performance. I mean, I've seen some actors. I always feel like an actor can get or a director can get his way with an actor if he allows the actor to have their choice. Sometimes a director can be so specific the actor feels frustrated that they didn't get their choice for their interpretation. And the other thing I think about what Bob was able to do with the actors, even though he didn't give maybe specific notes, he always gave the actors the backstory. I think the actors kind of understood who they were going into the performances. And then Bob let them, you know, like jazz, improvise.
You know, regarding, for example, Donald Sutherland and Elliot Gould, I mean, MASH was Bob's first really major film.
Right.
It was certainly his first big hit. He had really done very little. You know, this guy didn't start his real movie career until he was like in his 40s.
Sure.
Very unusual arrangement that he had with life. And he had worked a lot in television and so forth, sure. But so, you know, that was early Bob, and maybe he hadn't yet learned to have, you know, I'm going to use a cliche here, but you know, maybe the Iron Fist and the Velvet Glove.
Sure.
Maybe they couldn't tell the Iron Fist was there because he hadn't yet learned how to quite show them.
Bob said, without filmmaking, I don't know how to live. Did you, when you were working with Robert, did you feel that this process was part of his like life stitching?
You know, he was getting treatment one day a week, and we didn't know exactly what it was for, but he was very frail. And I tell you, you know, we had long days, and we shot this in 21 days.
Wow.
But it was scheduled 25, and we came in under budget. But he was always there. You know, I mean, when you asked him a question, he could answer the question. You know, he could be nodding up, and when you asked him something, he was there. I had always heard as a cinematographer that he was very difficult to work with. And I understood why in the process. And the process was he likes to move the camera in 360 degrees, you know. So where do you put your lights? And my style of lighting is to light, especially for him, was from practicals. You could light from the sources that are actually in the room or through windows. And so I worked with his son as the operator. So whenever there was really a problem or a question, I would have talked to Bobby to talk to his dad. What I liked about it was he posed the problem, and then I went off and, with my gaffer, and created the solution. There wasn't a problem between cameraman and director, all right? The end scene of McCabe and Mrs. Miller, there's this incredible snowstorm. And it was a real snowstorm. And there was to shoot the scene over a week, 5 days. And Vilmo Zsigmond was a cinematographer. And the first day it snowed. And they're in the mountains where this town was that they were shooting.
Yeah, near Vancouver, a little north of Vancouver, I believe, yeah.
And Vilmos was very nervous. He said, look, if we shoot today, I'll never be able to match the following scenes if it doesn't snow. Bob says, I don't care, we're going to shoot. You know, because he loved what he saw, you know, and he didn't want to lose that. So he went with the moment. Well, it snowed for the rest of the week.